Hey everyone, welcome to the next Monad office hours. Today we have Michael from Cookbook.dev here with us, and I'll hand it over him to walk through what Cookbook is and how to use it.
Thanks for having me, Kevin, and it's good to see everyone this morning. Thanks for joining. So yeah, I'll share my screen and just walk everyone through how they can use Cookbook to build better on Monad. Okay, and are you getting that
Yep,
screen?
yeah, I see it.
Awesome. So if you go and a quick intro on myself, I'm the head of DevRel at Cookbook.dev. We're known for our smart contract templates, AI assistants, and kind of tools and widgets to make building in Web3 a little bit easier. Before Cookbook, I worked as a Solidity developer on a couple of different projects. And pretty much our entire team at Cookbook is made up of Solidity developers. So the kind of the meat and potatoes at Cookbook is under the contracts tab. If you go to the website, we've hand curated over 1,800 smart contract templates for developers to use for research, education, quickly hacking on things, or using them as the kind of base or starting point for your Web3 project or dApp. So a really big benefit of Cookbook for builders on Monad is that um, one of the great things about Monad is that you're able to enjoy the performance and throughput kind of benefits and improvements that the team has, built from the research just by switching kind of like your RPC or chain info if you're doing a contract deployment. So all of the contract templates on cookbook.dev are, pretty relevant to you, I guess, as a Monad builder. Um, so if whether you've already started building a project on Monad or you'd like to do so in the future, I think Cookbook's going to be helpful for you to do that. So you can do a couple interesting things. You can go search for contracts using keywords. So we've kind of indexed and templatized most like major popular protocols that you may have interacted with, things like DEXs, NFT marketplaces, DAO, smart contract frameworks, things like that. So if you're looking for a specific contract, you can search it here. Let's say we want to find something like front tech, right? So we can find um, the template from that. We can see how many times it's been downloaded. We have our Chef GPT AI assistant that's here, to answer your questions. So you can ask anything about the protocol, about um, the Solidity code, and it'll give you a bit of a rundown. You can do things like one-click open the code in different web IDEs. We support Remix and Chain IDE now, or these different like tool chains, Foundry, Hardhat, and Scaffold are what's supported. So I think these are like for more beefy protocols or contracts, these are probably what you're going to use if you're going to deploy a token or something. I think that Remix is a really, really good venue for that. But besides just searching for a contract, if you don't have, a specific protocol or smart contract in mind, but you want to discover some, we have these keyword filters on the left over here. So maybe you want to launch a token on Monad, but you don't want to write the code from scratch and you want to find something that has been battle tested on a different network before. So you can have some, confidence that the contract is good without necessarily having to rewrite all of the solidity. So when we, select token, we get all of these different token smart contract templates. So anything from your kind of classic Open Zeppelin simple ERC20 to like a Cookbook custom buyback token. We have, a dividend paying token up here. So the stars denote how many downloads or uses the contracts have had from Cookbook. So Open Zeppelin has been the most common one. I think a lot of people will probably use it for like demos or just like making their first, on-chain deployment, something like that. Um, but if you want to find, maybe a more complicated token or something, let's say you can do the buyback token's good, right? So if you want to, launch a project that has a token where when other users buy and sell it, you can collect fees on that. You can actually do that directly through Cookbook. We'll add support for monads tested on DevNet as soon as that comes out. But in this case, you just kind of pass some arguments into the web UI. You'll select the chain monad once it's available on Cookbook, and then through your own wallet, you'll pay the network fee and deploy it. Um, so kind of just like one
So we
example of
have a bunch of people doing some learning activities through Scaffold.eth. So they can basically find something here as a base and then immediately export it into a Scaffold.eth project.
they can. So let's actually do that together. We'll do it with the basic. Well, let's do it with the token.
So I have a good example that people might want. So we have a
Perfect.
bunch of game devs who are looking to maybe put like a leaderboard on chain. Is there any templates for like a leaderboard, or can we look for something like that, or maybe even create one?
Yeah, let's look for one. Leaderboard I have not considered before. I guess a really cool other feature of Cookbook is that we can import contracts. So if there's a leaderboard elsewhere that you or anyone from the audience may be able to think of that we want to fork, Cookbook is a really good tool for doing that. You just drop the contract address over here and then it gets imported into Cookbook and you get all the same templates that you normally would for things listed here. Is there another leaderboard that you can think of off the top
Not
of
that I can think of. Is there a way to have it create a contract from scratch and then launch that into a project? Is that a possible one?
So we can like Cookbook does have all these AI assistants, but we definitely don't recommend them for Solidity code generation that you like put on chain. We usually recommend it more for asking questions, clearing up concepts, but not necessarily code gen. But what we can try to do is, I've never used it this way, but we do have these chain resources pages, so Monad's up there, and we have a AI assistant for Monad, so we can maybe let's see if it has a suggestion. So in this case, it does like generate Solidity code, but like the disclaimer would be, I don't suggest anybody watching this to like go and request AI generated code from our assistants and then put those on chain. Maybe do it if you're hacking on something for like a hackathon, but like when there's user funds involved or something like that, don't do it. Um,
So it's a good starting point, but for any production level code, you would want to have it thoroughly audited and thoroughly checked, right?
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, if it's something that you're hacking on just to get an idea of, I think this can definitely speed up development time, but I would recommend that more for like advanced users or maybe somebody who's more well versed in Solidity so you can kind of pick up on anything that might not be what you
Yeah,
want.
because AI is not perfect and it might have some gaps there.
Yeah, if you're like a beginner Solidity developer, you might overlook things that aren't like as you intended if they're AI generated. So just a fair warning. Yeah, and in this case, the Monad Chef GPT instance did write us code for a game leaderboard. We could, attempt to and because this little summary here too. So we could attempt to, deploy this and work with it, but just based on how we try to get people to use Cookbook, I like would shy away from like generating Solidity code um and then deploying it.
Cool.
That said, like Cookbook really is great for forking things that are like all of the 1800 contract templates here are things that have been, and most of them are like they'll show you if they're audited or not. But most of them are like battle tested in the sense that we've looked at the production version on whatever EVM chain it came from, and like it hasn't been hacked or anything. So but like the templates are, like, you could have some confidence that the code behind them is like sound to use in
Is there
production.
like a maybe we could do like a staking contract? I know that would be something that
Yeah,
there's probably some
staking,
example.
we definitely have a bunch of those. So
Yeah,
so,
the ERC 721 NFT staking with infinite rewards. I think that would be applicable.
okay, sweet. So we mentioned that scaffold.eth is popular. Okay,
Oh,
so any of the
how,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
how'd you do that? Did you click download?
Yep. So when you find a contract that you want to work with, like this one on Cookbook, you can go under download here and select any of like the tool chains or frameworks that you want to work with. So we just hit scaffold and then it downloaded this like zip
Oh,
folder
nice.
here. I unzipped that and then opened it up in my IDE. So I use VS Code, whatever it is that you do use, it'll work there too. Um, so what we get here is basically the contents of NFT staking with infinite rewards on the contract level, and then a couple of extra things to make it run kind of quickly with scaffold. So we can follow the steps in the README. Uh, I'm on a new computer now, so I might not have a bunch of stuff installed. Sorry.
Uh,
Um, yeah, I probably should have done that before. Um, this workshop. Okay, well, I'll kind of talk through this. So running these commands over here will install scaffold. Um, we'll be actually handling the contract deployment through Hardhat. So for something uh, like in the case of Monad, what we would do when the network is live is add um,
yeah.
like the and everything into the Hardhat config. And the actual hard hat deployment with scaffold will be the same as like if you're using hard hat without scaffold. What scaffold will do is pretty much spin up a front end for you. So you'll have a scaffolded like web page with like very boilerplate like components on there that you can then go in and begin editing. We don't really have much support for front end stuff outside of just these scaffold boilerplates on Cookbook yet. We are working on some stuff to make that a little bit easier to work with through Cookbook in the future. Right now, we're very like smart contract focused, along with the AI assistants. So yeah, I definitely should install more stuff before doing workshops. I'm sorry about that. Um,
It's okay. So I guess like as someone who's wanting to work with Cookbook as a developer, or maybe I'm a somewhat experienced uh, front end engineer, right? But I haven't done a lot with smart contracts. How would you recommend I interact with the Cookbook platform to get the most like benefit out of it, or like, yeah,
Yeah, I think the easiest and most straightforward way would be working with contract templates through the Remix IDE. So, remix.ethereum.org is, if you're a Solidity developer, you've probably interacted with this before. It's a great web IDE. If you're doing like if you're writing a lot of code for a more complicated project, you probably want to use something like Foundry or Hardhat. But if you are working with something a little bit more simpler, I think Remix is like perfect. We do have a plugin for Remix specifically. So with this, you can search any of Cookbook, excuse me, contract templates or protocols, and then open them in one click into Remix. So for instance, if we want to, fork Uniswap v2 onto Monad, we can click that. We'll get um, this folder over here, and then all of the smart contracts that we need to deploy to, support the protocol. So in the case of Monad, it would be a very simple switch where you would go into your injected provider, and then change. I'm using the MetaMask wallet now, but whatever wallet you're using, you would just add Monad as a network, and that's like literally the only thing you would have to do differently to deploy pretty much any of these protocols. So if you want to go fork anything onto Monad, it's not going to like, something like a Uniswap v4 or v3 is going to be difficult to do through Remix. I think the file sizes are probably too big and heavy for a Remix deploy. So that's, an instance where you would probably want to use Hardhat or Foundry. But for something, even this NFT staking contract, we can maybe deploy through here. Uh, Yeah, so for like any of the contracts, like the NFT staking contract, for instance, we compiled it. I think that Remix will actually automatically select a correct or sufficient compiler version for you. And then again, in the case of Monad, once you can add it to your wallet, you'll just do that. Pass a couple of arguments. Let's see. So we'll select the correct contract first, NFT staking. Um, and in this case, we would add the NFT
NFT
address
address. Yeah.
of what's being staked, um, the contract address for whatever reward token is being distributed. That so you can go in and actually go to Cookbook. Let's see this. You can deploy a simple token, and we can do this all right now, just to maybe the Ethereum testnet, in lieu of Monad. So
Yeah. If we could do it on Sepala, that would work.
yeah, let's do that. So. What you can also do on Cookbook is if you go into the Chains tab and go to the Ethereum page, we can find some faucets. So I may need to do that. I think Alchemy is going to ask for my email or something. Um, oh, okay. It's like doxing all my wallets over here. Uh, oh, yeah. Where is it? Okay. So none of these have spoiled to demo. No. Yeah, bear with me while I like awkwardly get this.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Uh, okay.
oh yeah, faucet requires a minimum on mainnet.
It's funny. Yeah, devs have to be rich these days. Okay, I probably do have a wallet here that has like money on it. Save account one.
Nice.
Okay.
Don't show them. Don't show them your API key.
No way. Okay.
Here, I can give you a wallet. I have to give you my private key.
Does this work? Okay. Why not?
Damn, I could just send you some simple ETH, but it's not on a
Yeah.
wallet I have access to right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think all my dev wallets are on a different tab. Shouldn't be this hard to find. We'll just deploy to a whole sky. Okay, this will take I'm gonna like mine it here while I set up the rest of the. Oh, no way. Okay,
Oh
well, I guess
God.
there's an
This is the problem with the bots on test nets. They make getting faucet tokens so hard nowadays. Uh,
yeah, I never remembered it being this like difficult
they've
to
made it this
test
hard
that.
because people have been botting all the faucets and stealing all the testnet ETH, which makes it which makes it terrible.
I think it was like okay, that's not the faucet. Okay, I have an account here, so maybe they'll give me some.
There you go.
Let's do where was it?
Demo one.
Okay. Crazy. Okay. Well, I
Yeah,
guess it's impossible for me to get.
we may not be able to do that just yet. Okay,
We'll
we'll
keep it
believe
very,
you.
we'll
Yeah,
keep it very theoretical for this one.
yeah,
Um,
no, it's all good. Uh,
so we have our simple
don't
token,
worry,
right?
guys. Our mod faucet will be much easier to access.
I can't wait for the monad faucet so I can actually get some testnet tokens.
Yeah,
Uh, and then we can set our supply to just be some arbitrary number with a bunch of zeros, right? So we have our simple token. We'll, test. Let's call it staking token. It's better. Reward stake. Right. So once we hit transact, we will be prompted with paying our network fee. So I don't have the 3 cents that's required to do this. But if I did, I would hit confirm and then we would have a simple token deployed just like that, right? Like all we did was go into the cookbook tab, select simple token, compile, and then name it, give it a symbol, give it a supply, and then deployed it. So what we can do now that we have our theoretical simple token
it'll
up,
give you a deployed contract address, right?
they will. So once you go, you deploy it, you can go into activity here in MetaMask or whatever wallet that you use for the deployment, and it'll give you a link to the block explorer where you actually deployed that token. From there, I have a good example.
Yeah, you'll be able to see the.
Yeah, from there, essentially, it'll have a contract address from it'll say contract created, an OX string with the wallet address, and then you can copy that into your next contract deployment, which would be this this one. Okay, with NFT staking. So you would then paste that reward token address here. The NFT address is, if you've already gone and deployed an NFT and you have a collection out there, you would just post that contract address. Reward wallet address would be like a wallet that you should probably secure really well, and that'll be collecting reward token address. Actually, so what we can do is we
I
can
think that
add
might be the payer, right?
that might be the pair, yeah. So we can say within the same remix UI reward wallet address. Okay, so yeah,
Yeah,
like whatever wallet essentially is holding all the tokens, you will add it right there, and then we can ask how to calculate the math for the reward rate. Um,
nice. So if I theoretically had an NFT collection that I wanted to have a token associated with, I could just easy as this make a NFT staking contract.
Pretty much. So this is something that you can have, some level of confidence that it won't be, hacked right away or something, despite not writing any Solidity code, right? Because we know that NFT staking with infinite rewards has been deployed on chain. And if you actually go into Cookbook here, you can find, let's see where it was. Oh, we may have moved this over, but I think it'll be back soon. You can find actually instances of where it was deployed. Um, but yeah, Kevin, well said. So yeah, using the Cookbook plugin, we can, select the base of the project that you want to build with, ask questions, and then run with it. Um, yeah, I would
Nice.
say like if you're not changing a lot of things with the template that you're using, Remix is a really good venue. You may have to, depending on the protocol that you select, um, have to deploy multiple contracts, like in the case of, the Uniswap V2. So I would just,
So
you
in the
know,
case of like a multi-contract deployment in a single project, does Remix handle that? Like, would it deploy all three of them, or would I have to call a deploy call on each contract?
so it wouldn't deploy them simultaneously, but you would just do it sequentially pretty much. So in the case of like Uniswap, you would deploy, I think, the token first. Let's see. So we'll open all three of them here. And then let's file them. But Remix is actually pretty good for something like this. So like even like a Uniswap V2, I would probably myself do it through Remix versus like a hard hat or a Foundry right now. Uni V3 probably not. But let's see. Okay, so yeah, this is the token, and then let's pair.
So how are you figuring out what contract needs to be deployed first? Like, do they tell each other that, or what?
So the README probably says it. In this case, I'll ask the copilot. So in what sequence should we deploy the smart contracts for Uniswap V2? And this is actually a good demo because like this will be pretty actionable. Okay, so we have the factory. We'll provide fee to setter. So this will be a wallet that we own that will be used to set the fee. We'll deploy then the pair, then the router, and then the WETH contract. So then we also have instructions on how to initialize pairs through the contract once deployed. So once you actually deploy all these, you can create your own pairs. So for something like a hackathon, or if you're just like getting your first project up on Monet, I think like a Uni V2 deployment to testnet or DevNet would be like a really solid start. Um, Finding a front end and a UI for it would be kind of outside the scope of Cookbook, but you can also jump into our Discord, and somebody from our team will probably have pretty good suggestions. Like if you're working on something that's outside the scope of like smart contracts, we can still do our best to help. Um,
So as far as like, I mean, like I saw these instructions here. They give you the instructions for adding a pair. Say I have my own token already and I want to add it to Uniswap V2 on a chain. Would Cookbook help with that?
I think it would. So I think if I just say, let's say, what did this say? I have a token I deployed and want to create a uni swap pair. So while like this question isn't necessarily about using the contract template or like Solidity or development, it still will give you instructions. So it'll give you the prereqs, make sure it's deployed, and then make sure you know
The
the
factory contract.
yep, for where you want to create that pair. Um, so you'll call create pair. And then this code snippet, I wouldn't like necessarily use this to create a pair. I would probably interact with it through like the Block Explorer, through the UI. Um, so sometimes when using AI, you might get, you know, code examples where they're not necessarily the best way to approach a problem. So just be wary for things like that. Um, but like in this case, this Copilot is kind of more focused on development, so that's why it may be spitting out code examples. Whereas if you do go on Cookbook and you do type in something like Uniswap V2, there is an AI assistant over here that has context to Uniswap V2, and you can ask questions right on the Cookbook website too if you're not like actively in a code editor.
Hmm.
So just gonna throw that out there too. But yeah, sorry for
So
not having some more packages. Oh, so yeah, go ahead.
no, it's all good. So like say when you're live on Monad, well, when Monad's live in general, um, like will they be able to look at contracts deployed on Monad and then like basically compose with them or ask questions about them through Cookbook AI? Is that possible? Or
Yeah, so if there's any Monad native protocols, once those go live, we'll be kind of hand curating them under contracts. So that they'll appear here, and in all of those instances, you can go in and ask
ask
questions
questions
about
about the contract?
that.
So if you're a project that wants to compose with another project, this is even just a good way to learn about the other project's contracts and how it works.
It is, yeah. It's actually a great tool for that. For a lot of the templates that we do have on Cookbook too, we generate these. It's kind of like a breakdown of each of the functions within the smart contract. So if you are just kind of doing some quick research too, you can go see all the things that you can call. You get a little bit of extra kind of info sometimes up here. And then yeah, again, you can ask questions if there's something like specific that you're after knowledge-wise on how to um, compose
So
it
if I
right.
have a protocol on Monad that relies on other people integrating with me, like say I'm an LST program, um, and like a liquid staking protocol, and I want my LST to be in every DeFi protocol, is there a way they can post something on Cookbook that would make that process easier for people looking to integrate with them? Um,
It would probably be like getting one of these protocol pages up. So it'll have pretty much the same features for all the other contracts that we have and kind of went over. But I think it will make life a little bit easier versus like a vanilla set of documentation or GitHub repo just based on being able to ask questions right here and then having these little breakdowns.
yeah.
So yeah,
So
I'm definitely.
if I'm a protocol who wants to basically incentivize other protocols to compose with me, getting my protocol on Cookbook is a net benefit, basically.
It is. It's a pretty much no work on the team's behalf, right? If you work at a protocol like that and you don't really do anything, you can just ping us and we'll do the lift to get it added, and then it'll serve as like a resource and artifact that may be helpful yeah, for anybody looking to integrate there.
Nice, nice. Well, I think we could probably open it up for questions if we got any questions in the audience. Um, let's see what the chat's going off right now. Hello. Uh, we definitely had some more people join, so that's great. Did anyone have any questions on how they could use Cookbook today? If you have any questions just about the tooling, how it could be useful to you, what it can and can't do, now's kind of the uh, perfect time to ask if anyone in the audience has any questions. Okay. I'm not seeing anything come through, so I may pose a question to the audience instead. Um, oh, sorry, did I hear someone talk? Oh, okay. I may pose a question to the audience. Um, if you're seeing this set of tools from Cookbook, what would or would not make it more attractive for you to use a cookbook.dev in your daily dev environment. Um, yeah, I don't know if anyone wanted to chime in there.
Uh,
Oh, yeah, go for it, Ozan.
I generally like the idea of being searching about contracts and just implement imp imply that to my project. Um, like I wanna ask something about Cookday. That's why
Hmm.
I open my mic. Like if I get some problems with implementing the code on Cookbook. Where can I ask the questions or review the contracts on the cookbook?
Yeah, there's a couple of different venues. So if you're using something like Remix, I would say the first step is like try to ask the AI. Usually it's pretty helpful and good. Um, in the case of Monad, we do have an instance in Discord as well. So if you're in the Monad developer Discord, you can go into the Chef GPT channel. You can do a slash command, um, hit ask, and then ask your question there. So I would say like the first line to go ask questions to would be the AI, whether it's in the Cookbook website, the Monad Discord, um, Remix or your IDE. If that, isn't helpful, I would say the second place you can ask if you're using a Cookbook contract template would be our Discord server. It's in our Twitter bio. So if you go to cookbook_dev on Twitter, click the Discord link, our server, you can ask, any of our product team, engineering team, any question you have about Solidity or the contract templates or your problem that you're having to deploy it. And then I think probably the Monad developer Discord would be a
Yep.
good, yeah, third stop there, and Kevin can get you sorted.
Yeah, and heads up for any of the questions you asked to the Chat GPT bot. I do actually look at those on the back end as well. And if there's any inaccuracies in like Monad specific contexts, I do update those. As we go into testnet, I expect there to be a lot more questions about some basic things on testnet. So you're going to be able to ask all those questions into the bot, and as we, get a set of common questions, obviously, the Cookbook AI will get smarter as I go ahead and update based on things. So
Yeah, so a lot of venues for questions. I'll point out a few last things on Cookbook too before, or like while people come up with other questions too. If you like deploy any of the contracts that we have on this contract tab to Monad, once we add that with no code deploy, you'll kind of have a history of your deployments here under my dashboard. So like with this wallet, I don't have any contract deployments, but if I did, it would be here under deployed contracts. And you'll actually be able to read and write to all those contracts, even if you haven't verified them on a block explorer through the Cookbook dashboard. So if you are just like hacking with Cookbook and doing no code deploys to, Ethereum Sepolia for now, finding a project that you want to bring to Monad, just know that you can track your progress actually in Cookbook over here, and kind of see all of the different things that you've deployed. And I definitely encourage everyone to like just play around with it and get something up on Sepolia, and then like you can see how easy it actually can be with Cookbook. And it might encourage you to like eat some projects up on Monad when the time is right.
Okay, thank you. One more question. Are you gonna add anything besides smart contracts?
So for now, we're very smart contract focused. I think that we will like scaffold ETH was and those boilerplates were kind of the first front end support that we've added. And really the value of those is that rather than starting from like a standard, scaffold.eth project starting point, you have the contracts, the dependencies, all of that for the deployment portion kind of baked into that same project folder so that you can just switch over your hard hat config and then run a few commands to deploy um, the contract part of it, and then make any of those changes to the scaffold project that you would make. So it sort of skips a step. And if you were to start with the standard scaffold project, you would have to then add any smart contract related files, folders, everything yourself. We abstract that away. We would like to work with more front end AI generated kind of tooling so that you can also, maybe just send a prompt and get a very basic front end for your smart contract up as well, so that you can interact with it through that rather than like a block explorer or other way. But that's probably going to be coming next year. So I would say for this year, Cookbook's going to be very smart contract focused, and the AI assistance that we provide, we spend a lot of time making those better so that the answers developers get are actionable and good.
Yeah, I would try it for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, let me know what you think. Jump on our Discord, say hi, and I'll see you in the Monad Dev Discord if anything.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice. Well, we're coming to the end of time here. If we don't have any other questions, we can go ahead and wrap up here. I will give you guys a couple more seconds to either ask anything.
Actually, Kevin, I had a question. Can I go ahead?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just someone who's learning and going ahead today only to join the class which both have arranged. So I just heard from Hardik that how this book works actually. Like we have a feedback loop and we can work on the things. So anything you guys want to tell me? Because I'm one person who loves to learn and just keep on being consistent. So just if possible, can you tell me what I can extract from this code book? Because I'm learning. I'm just a beginner. I can say that. I'm actually
Yeah,
more
so
of a
are
person
you are
who,
you
yeah.
brand new? You're a brand new developer in blockchains, and you're just learning everything. Is that am
Yes,
I
yes,
understanding
correct.
that correctly?
Correct,
Okay.
correct, correct, correct. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would basically say, like, for blockchain development, there's a couple different pieces to the stack, right? There's the smart contract deployment, which is the code that runs on chain. There's you know, depending on how complex your app is, sometimes there's a backend, which is kind of like your data layer. And then in all cases, there's a front end, right? So the front end is what either talks to your back end, which then talks to the smart contract, or in a lot of simple apps today, the front end just directly talks to the blockchain. Um, and so where Cookbook comes in is, a lot of devs from Web 2 have a lot of experience on the front end side, but they have less experience on the smart contract side because it's just a different programming environment, generally speaking. So what Cookbook does, on the smart contract side, um, there's kind of a lot of like there's a lot. It's very easy to write a basic Solidity contract. It's much harder to write a secure Solidity contract, right? Um, and so the benefit of Cookbook is essentially being able to look at a library of battle tested protocols and use that to build something quickly with limited smart contract knowledge that you're reasonably, you know, you have a reasonable security guarantee around, like its battle testedness. It depends on how far you stray from the template contract. But deploying an ERC20 token through Open Zeppelin through Cookbook, there's a lot of security guarantees around how safe that is, and you could build the front end around it, right? Yeah, because obviously, as you can see here right on the side, Open Zeppelin ERC simple ERC20 token is audited. If you're not changing the code any, then you have pretty reasonably good guarantees that you can deploy a token safely, right? So Cookbook is really about reducing that time for your developer loop. And so as a new dev, depending on where you want to focus, either on smart contracts or on the front end, it kind of just lifts your load of what you have to learn at any given time, and then lets you kind of focus on where you would like to focus, and provides that support on the smart contract side to do things in a secure way. Michael, would you want to add anything there to that description?
No, I think that was really well said. I mean, it's about kind of deciding where you want to spend time learning and practicing, and then um, there's definitely a lot of differences between, I guess, working on the smart contract side versus the front end side of like a project. So, um, but no, yeah, no, I think that was well said, Kevin. I'll leave it at that.
Nice. Yeah, I would clarify that Cookbook is very much like at this day and age, smart contract development tool. Um, like some of you guys were asking earlier, Ozan was asking earlier, they might expand to do front end in the future, but for now it's primarily a smart contract tool. That's correct?
It is, yeah. So until we do add more support for front end stuff, it's really focused on builders who are working on the on-chain components of like Web3 and blockchain dApps.
Nice. Is that a decent answer for you, Growth, or you got
Yeah,
any other
perfect
questions?
answer. Thank you so much, Kevin. Actually, for me specifically, I'm just trying to learn, and you actually answered it perfectly because developing something which is secure is very important than developing something which is just a product. Because at the end of it, hackers will be always there to take the things away from everyone. Yeah. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for it.
so Cookbook definitely helps on that front. If you're trying to do, some basic stuff around, um, an NFT, say with some basic staking and some stuff like that, Cookbook will get you there a lot quicker. So nice. Okay. Unless we have any other questions. Oh, wait, I got someone just a thank you in the chat. So thank you. Um, yeah, unless we got any other questions, we'll go ahead and wrap it up for this week. And we'll see you all back next week. Michael, you got any closing words?
Really just encourage everyone to go check out the contracts tab on Cookbook, hack on something, deploy it to each Sepolia, whether it's through like a no-code deploy or remix or your favorite, tool chain. Um, and then, as soon as monads, Devin or testnet is live for you to use, just do the same thing and get your hands dirty and some testnet deployments there. It's pretty fun once you start, messing with it. So, yeah, do that. Ping us if you have any questions in Discord.
Nice. I'll leave it with that. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Kevin, and thanks to everyone for joining.